Hello and welcome to this week's installment of the weekly news brought to you by 4eyes Academia. I'm Tudz.
I'm Chris.
And let's get into it. So the first piece of news comes via CD Projekt Red. And so they tweeted on their official account, it just says, a new saga begins with the Witcher logo. Go on the website, we can see that it says, we're happy to announce that the next installment in the Witcher series of video games is currently in development, kicking off a new saga for the franchise.
Wow. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I think the series itself has been, I'd say, criminally underlooked. But with the Netflix series and the popularity it's got, it's managed to kind of garner an audience that would be interested in a new version or new iteration in the Witcher franchise.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 has been on a multitude of different consoles.
It's on the Switch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the Switch.
I've got
It's
it on
on
PC. I haven't started it yet.
I think it was the definitive version that was on the Switch. But it's been on multiple consoles. I'm sure. What was the first console it was on? Was it a PS4? Was it PS4? Yeah,
I feel like it must have been, yeah.
Must have been a PS4. But yeah, no, it's held up really well. The game itself is amazing. I'd still recommend people still play that game. But it's just good to see that the risk they took with the Netflix series has managed to get a new game for the fans of the Witcher franchise.
Because I have to admit, the Netflix series is what got me into, well, it's what made me purchase the games.
Right.
In the first place.
Did you ever play it?
I bought the trilogy because it was on sale on Steam at the time. The whole 3 games, the definitive edition of Witcher 3 as well.
Right.
All 3 games was like nine quid on Steam, so obviously I bought it.
Yeah.
I played Witcher 1. I was really enjoying it. It's really dated in the look and stuff, but it's still a very playable game. And I was really following the story. Voice acting is amazing. Sound is great. But I got stuck on one bullshit boss like halfway through the game. And I thought maybe it's just me. So I went on all the forums, everyone, how do you beat this boss? And like even the nerds in the forums were saying, yeah, this boss is bullshit. I couldn't get past it. So I can't come and die. So I
That's how it happens.
1.
That's how it goes, isn't it?
I parked Witcher 1, never beat it. I might watch a playthrough or something. I started Witcher 2. That was so hard. Even like there's like a tutorial thing at the beginning of Witcher 2 where it says, okay, you're gonna go through like these series of battles like right at the beginning, and the game will automatically like put you into a difficulty for the game. And like I got put on like casual because like I couldn't do it. And even that was too hard, so I haven't played Witcher 2 yet. But everyone says Witcher 3 is good and like it's the best one, and so yeah, I will get around to that eventually. But yeah, the Netflix series was what prompted me to do anyway, and I had fun with what I did play, and I've got like I'm gonna start the novel soon as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think another interesting point is the fact that it's, CD Projekt Red, and with Cyberpunk and the whole Cyberpunk fiasco, I know it's doing a lot better now, but I wonder how much leeway people are going to give them as a company when it comes to working on this new iteration, and if people are going to be upset. Cut this out, Manny. And if people are going to be interested in this new installment because of the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 was such a letdown. But who knows? They made 3 successful Witcher games.
I feel
they should be able to.
Yeah, I feel like the Witcher games, the reputation they have should be enough. I think it's like a fresh start as well. They're moving to Unreal Engine 5. And stuff. So Netflix announced an animated Tekken series called Bloodline. I
thought it looked decent. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
However, I've seen Tekken animated in the past, and it was extremely bad. I've also seen live action Tekken, which was also extremely bad. It's a mixture of different things. Poor writing and a very convoluted story anyway that the games have. It's hard to get everything in. The Tekken story is just so confusing, honestly.
Well, I mean, this one it says it's going to follow Jin Kazama in his youth, so maybe that's a bit more. They can like drill it down and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Tekken in terms of plot anyway is just really out there and just nonsensical. It's like kind of funny, like, unintentionally. So I feel like from what I've seen in the trailer, it feels like it's kind of wants to take itself seriously, which makes me wonder like how good it will be generally. I feel like if they keep that kind of like humorous element to it, it would have been good. But I don't think this is the tone that they're going with the anime and stuff. I feel like it'll probably be all right, but Prime will watch it.
I mean, I'll probably watch it. I mean, I do know a bit about the Tekken storyline, so it'd be an interesting watch just to, you know, harken back to old memories. I played the first 5 games quite extensively. I think when it got into the more competitive bit, I didn't really play it as much.
Yeah, I played them more when I was a kid, but like,
yeah,
I don't play fighting games to be good.
But I mean, I still remember all the you know, the mainstay characters, the Jins, Kazuyas, Hayachis. I know the issues that the Mishima family have, and the problem is when you get into the other characters, it's just there's so many of them. There's just so many characters. I know Street Fighter's got a lot of characters, but you have like a set few that are always mainstay in all the games. Whereas in Tekken, you just have so many characters. You got like talking bears, you got robot, it's like this.
Whatever Yoshimitsu is.
Yeah, wherever he is.
But yeah, I think I might watch the first episode just to say I watched the first episode. Next piece of news. So the video game industry is no stranger to controversy, especially as of late, as people that actively involved on the ground in the industry are more vocal, they have more of a platform to speak. But this next piece of news is specifically concerning prestigious indie studios. I think earlier on this week there was this whole thing about the developer that worked on the Ori games. There were a few developers and like writers and designers who worked on it who came out basically saying how, I think there was one in particular, it was a woman, I forgot her role, I don't know whether she was a designer or a writer or developer, basically saying how she was the only woman in like an all-male staff, and like just like her treatment was just like horrific during her time there. And there's that whole kind of like vocational awe that comes with working in the video game industry. Like people put up with a lot of rubbish because they love video games and all that stuff. I think the media industry as a whole is kind of like that, I think. But yeah, so this particular tweet was from this great channel, a group of journalists called People Make Games on YouTube. So they do these kind of like investigative pieces on the industry and particular games, and they basically just over the course of several months they interviewed several developers across 3 different highly prestigious indie studios, and yeah, they basically just talk about the emotional abuse employees have been suffering at the hands of the founders, and there's some stuff you would like expect to see, but like when you really like hear people's like first-hand accounts, because I watched the video, yeah, it's really messed up. So I don't know if you saw any of the other like tweets and stuff. There were like
I've seen tweets and all sorts of letters about, but it's just becoming a bit of a trend within, you know, this kind of environment, this gaming, animation. When it comes to the environments that they foster, fair enough, they're very male dominated anyway, at the moment, but it's, you know, quite negative. In terms of, you know, how they treat women, how they treat ethnic minorities, how they treat, you know, gay, lesbian, transgender people, all sorts of disabilities. And I feel like a lot of people who have been within the gaming industry or been into the entire gaming and anime world understand that these kind of attitudes are usually fostered in these environments anyway, so it's not really a surprise that people are having these attitudes, but I don't think people expect that at the highest level and within businesses.
Because obviously if it was Activision or whatever, it'd just be like, oh yeah, it's just more of the same. Obviously still bad, people still condemn it, but it's just like it's more of the same. I think there was still, maybe not to people who are like close to the industry, but there still has like an element of shock there for, in particular, these really like indie game studios. When you think about it, these kind of like smaller environments, there's less of a there's less visibility, and if there's already this kind of like toxic work culture in like the industry wide, then they're more likely to get away with it actually if you're at a smaller studio. So it's no surprise that actually the same amount of bullying and abuse is going on. And actually I think there was actually a quote from one of the developers they interviewed in the People Make Games video, where they were kind of like, oh, because it was one of the people in the senior team was a woman, and she was one of the people who was like inflicting abuse on the employees, and they were kind of like trying to minimize it because she was a woman. It's just kind of like they're trying to use like the whole like the status quo to like their advantage, like, oh, you know, she's a woman, like, are you really gonna, you know, try and like, you know, basically, you know, jeopardize her bag, like,
yeah,
it's
definitely
it's hard enough for women in the industry, blah blah blah. And it's just like, well, that's not what, you know, abuse is abuse. Like,
yeah, honestly,
yeah, it shouldn't be a cop out. So yeah, just from the all the way down, it's rotten. But like, yeah, because like, I know personally, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm over AAA games. It's all the same. The microtransactions here, season passes there. I'm over it. My good old indie games, but like, it's all the studios are
all of them. They're
susceptible
all in
to
it. They're all in it together.
It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this last piece of news on a slightly more cheerful note, maybe. Don't know anything. We don't know much yet. But Bloomberg reported that Sony's Game Pass competitor, codenamed Spartacus, will be revealed next week. So by the time you're watching this, you should be expecting the news any day now. So it will debut with a splashy lineup of hit games. Yeah. It will combine PS Now and PS Plus with multiple tiers, and the most expensive tier gives access to demos and ability to stream games. So,
right.
Any initial thoughts?
I mean, it's needed, it's required. Their hands been forced. Game Pass has become something so massive and so big that if they don't try and figure out a way to compete, they'll get flushed out and overwhelmed this generation. Yeah, I think it's just the nature of gaming these days.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the nature of all media. People don't necessarily need to own things. Especially when it comes to consuming media, they can borrow it for a while and move on to the next. And sometimes having that element of choice is quite good. You don't need to commit. You're not afraid to try out different games and purchase different games. And I think one thing that Game Pass has shown is that it doesn't take away from gaming sales. A lot of people still, I think there's some games where they had high Game Pass numbers, and these are games that came out before Game Pass was the inception of Game Pass, and after Game Pass they saw an increase in sales. So people are playing games on Game Pass, and when they're really liking them, they're purchasing them anyway, because they want to keep these games. And I feel like that's quite good. It allows people to test games. It allows people to, you know, quote unquote borrow games. In terms of what Sony are going to have in it, I'm quite interested to know what's going to be there.
Yeah, because they're talking about, all we know is a splashy lineup of hit games. So maybe like we think about like the flagship kind of series.
I really can't think of what they can put on Game Pass, on their version of Game Pass that's not already on, you know, with PS Plus or PS Now. It's almost like a restructuring of the entire PS Now, in my opinion. But I don't know. Game streaming is good. I definitely feel like game streaming is good,
especially since games are getting more expensive as well. Yeah, it's like, so you still have options.
Yeah.
Before games are like £100 like standard.
How are you with physical games? Do you prefer physical or digital?
I used to be like oh, I'd go for physical wherever it's most convenient. Like digital is like a last resort for me before. But nowadays I feel like if it's like for a particular game I've been really anticipating, I usually get the limited edition anyway, so that will obviously be physical. But otherwise I'm happy to get it digital. Like I've got most of the games I play. Well, Splatoon was when I was still in that phase. I got it like not shortly after Switch came out, and Breath of the Wild obviously because it was at launch. But most of the games I've got on the Switch since Animal Crossing, all the games I bought on my Switch have been digital. It's just convenient.
Yeah.
And like if you got the SD card, like why not?
Yeah.
Like even my PS4 as well. Like okay, Persona 4, Persona 5 Royal. Obviously I got the limited edition. That's why. If not, I probably would have got it digital. And I played Cyberpunk. That was digital. So yeah, I'm not averse to it.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I was very, very physical orientated, but as time's gone on, the convenience of not having to switch games over is unrivaled.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to PlayStation games. Games that I will frequently play. So games that, you know, usually have that 1 year expiry date. So your Call of Duties, your FIFAs, those I just prefer to get digital download now.
There's no point.
There's really no point. But for everything else, I tend to do. I still do like physical cases just because I like the case, like box art. I like
books there. I never used to see the allure in steelbooks. When I got my first one, I was like,
yeah,
I understand it now.
And I feel like steelbooks have been something that's been pushed a lot more. I feel like with almost every game I buy now, there's like some sort of addition to the actual game box, which is nice. If it might be an art book, it might be some cards or some stickers or a keychain. But yeah, like anything these days.
That's the direction we're going in anyway.
So. Yeah, we're going there eventually. Yeah. I dread the day when they say no more physicals. I mean they took away the manuals and then the inserts, and now it's just like. I mean, when you think about it, look at PC gaming. We don't have any discs anymore for games.
That's so true. Yeah, you don't get discs.
But I do think that they have boxes. Still, okay. Some games have boxes with like codes in them.
Oh yeah.
For the people who want like limited editions.
For the old fogies and the nerds.
Yeah.
Which we are both.
I mean, who even has a disc drive anymore?
That's true. My PC doesn't have a disc drive.
I don't have one either.
But so that's been the news this week. We'll catch you next week with the news. I've been Tudz, I've been joined by Chris, and catch us at 4 Eyes Academia on all platforms, mainly on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts on the news coming out, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Peace.